Hey everyone, and welcome to this GameXplain discussion, because today is actually an anniversary day. Totally crept up on us, because I totally forgot this was even a thing. 5 years ago today, the Nintendo Switch, or as it was then known, the Nintendo NX, has officially been revealed on October 20th, 2016. The day that a lot of us Nintendo fans were waiting for a long time at the time. My goodness, it was like a completely different era. Wouldn't you agree, Tris?
Yeah, it really was, and this was out of nowhere when it happened too. There was like no hints, there was no real forewarning. It was just like the night before with the image of Mario and the curtains. Like, hey, guess what? You're gonna learn what it is tomorrow. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that broke the internet that night.
It did. It was just like, I remember I was on the light rail home from work. And then I saw the Nintendo tweet, like, hey, Nintendo NX, and I'm like, no, this isn't real. This is fake. But it was real. It's just like, if you weren't around that time, ladies and gentlemen, like, if you weren't, like, in the gaming sort of, like, talk of the town on Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that, people just wanted the NX. We were so tired of waiting to find out what the NX was. We thought Nintendo was going to, I remember earlier that year, we thought, okay, Nintendo is going to reveal this system at E3 and then it's going to come out later that year. That did not happen one bit. They just showed off Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it was Breath of the Wild focused, and then they mentioned the NX, but that we learned about it at a later time. We're like, all right.
I remember at Ubisoft's press conference that year at E3, they were like, oh, Just Dance is coming to Xbox, Wii U, blah, blah, and Nintendo NX. And I'm like, that's great, I guess. What is it? It drove me nuts. It drove us all nuts, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But to preface this a little bit, first of all, Andre's not here because he's on a plane, in case you people were wondering. But to preface this a little bit, the NX was revealed and not revealed at a press briefing in early 2015 from Nintendo. Iwata was mentioning that this was when Nintendo announced they were going to be doing mobile games, I believe. Not just mobile games,
right, yes.
mobile apps, yes. And they mentioned, all right, and this Nintendo app will be compatible with your PC, your Wii U, and the upcoming NX, which we will talk more about next year. And we were like, wait, what? You just announced, you shadow dropped a console, kind of, but not really? Not shadow dropped, but you kind of sort of announced your next console, but the code name of it, it'd be like Nintendo announcing the Dolphin, also known as the GameCube. So it was really just a wild kind of like, oh, we know what Nintendo's working on now, and it's kind of sooner. It's sooner than expected for Nintendo a little bit because their console lifespans were around 5 to 6 years at this time. Well, the Wii was 6 years, which was a year longer than what we were normally used to, but it was kind of sort of like, oh, okay, they're kind of on schedule for their next console anyway. But also the Wii U was a commercial failure, so it makes sense that they would want to release the next system sooner than later. So
yeah, people were waiting and ready to move on from the Wii U pretty quickly.
They were.
So at that point, it was quite some time.
Yeah, those software gaps were just, oh my gosh. Like, it was really hard being a Nintendo fan at this time. But then, of course, after E3, we were just waiting and waiting for whatever the NX was going to be. It could have happened at any point. And we were just like, maybe this is the week, maybe this is the week, maybe this is the week. Especially the September-October range. I think that's when a lot of us were just like, come on, Nintendo, show us something.
And especially like late summer, because people started getting so antsy. That's when all the fake leaks started coming out too.
Yes.
Like people with like the screen controllers and all these different things that I remember everyone was trying to debunk and talk about and do a whole, well, this is obviously fake, but what if they did go in this direction? And it was a huge talking point for so long, and it was just this constant, all right, what's the NX? We're getting tired of this.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was working at Commonwealth Realm, I was also like part of that whole craze, like just saying in videos, come on, Nintendo, show us the NX. And people were like speculating that it was delayed and stuff, even though Nintendo never announced a delay. It was just kind of like people were just so tired of waiting and they were so like worried about it. But then like a month, maybe a few weeks before the reveal, there was the infamous, I think it was Kotaku who leaked this. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so. I believe it was.
They leaked what the Switch was, what the NX was. They didn't reveal that it was called the Switch, but they said this is going to be a handheld that can also be a home console. And I think some of us were a little disappointed by that. I think we were expecting like a straight up home console that was as powerful as the as the PS4 or the Xbox One, stuff like that. There were like theories that they would be like a handheld console hybrid, but back then I was thinking it would be like you take the handheld portion with you where there's a Wi-Fi connection, kind of like the PS Vita, where you could play PS4 games via remote play on that thing. That's what I thought it was going to be. But the truth was much more different. Yeah, I think that leak, it would have been nice to see the Switch without a leak, like beforehand. But I also kind of think that set our expectations accordingly. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so. Yeah, I definitely think it did, because people were either expecting it to completely be on par with the other current gen, like, powerhouse consoles at the time, or the completely handheld console, which not sure what exactly people were thinking with expecting something. So, I mean, some people were expecting it to be as powerful as the PS4, but like 3DS sized and only handheld. I don't know what people were starting to think at that point, but I think it definitely helps temper expectations, and I actually think it helped give a generally positive reaction when it first came out.
Right. Yeah, I think it did too. And I think it got a lot of people more excited when they saw it. So now, here we are, October 20th, 2016, and the trailer is launched at, I want to say it was like 6 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m. Pacific, something like that.
Wasn't early.
Yeah, it wasn't like as early for you, Tris, if you were still living in the East Coast at this time. But for us West Coasters, it was like, I remember staying up the whole night. Like, I knew I was not gonna be able to sleep before watching that trailer. So the trailer comes out, we see this guy in his lofty little loft, too rich for his own good, right? He's got the controller in his hands. We're like, oh, let's take another look at that controller. What is that? He's playing Breath of the Wild, and that's just already hype because people were
as just a fun little point. I remember thinking this back then too. It's really funny when you see ads or videos of people playing games, but it's very clearly a video because there's no UI, nothing.
Yes.
Like, at least keep part of the gameplay elements to make us feel, or to convince us they're actually playing it. Which they do later in this with like Mario Kart. But it was just always funny to me. Like, look, this nice look at Breath of the Wild. Shame it doesn't give us another look at the UI or anything, since we only knew what it looked like on the Wii U originally. Exactly.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, even Mario Odyssey later on, and that doesn't even have a UI. But anyways, let's getting back to where the trailer was. Then we see a dog go woof, and then we see Switch. And it's just so cool. It was also cool because just like we were hitting refresh on the YouTube channel, and then it said first look at Nintendo Switch, and that's when we first saw the name Nintendo Switch, a name that we would be knowing very well for the next 5 years at this point now. So that was really cool. We theorized names, like I heard rumors of like the system being called Nintendo Focus or something. But
I remember Focus. I remember that one. That was the one I heard the most.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. I don't remember hearing anyone say Switch, but it's just, and you could already tell by the name what this system was going to be. Switching between handheld and switching between home console, just a perfect name for a system. A better name than Wii U. You know, like it's very clear what the system can do. And then we see the guy walk up to his console, and there was the Switch dock with what looks like a little tablet thing in there. He takes off his controllers, his Joy-Cons, as we would later find them out to be called. Puts them on the Switch. Bam. It's now a handheld. You're playing Breath of the Wild on a handheld. Really cool. Really stinking cool. I have my reaction video somewhere on the YouTube. I'm trying to remember how I felt seeing that. It's on Commonwealth Realm if you want to look at it. But man, oh man, that was such a cool reveal. Like, you could have stopped the trailer there.
Even if it was just that short little bit, it would have been so interesting only having that. But it perfectly tells you what this is, what it's about.
Yes.
And I loved seeing that. Like, I remember, I know it was early morning, but I'm pretty sure because it was a week that I had like classes at the time. So I was with others, like some friends when this came out. And I remember we all started watching at the same time. And I know several of us gasped when we saw like it actually transferred. We were like, okay, that's cool. Did not expect that.
Man, it was really cool to see that. And we see him go to the park, and we just gotta talk about the timing of this scene. Like, he must be playing his video games at like 4 a.m, right? And then his dog that is way too big, like his dog is freaking huge, is just like, I want to go for a walk. And then it's sunrise in the park. Like, what clock is this guy on? Does he work nights? I don't understand.
Well, if he works nights, he wouldn't have been playing in the dark at first.
He probably would have gotten home at like 5 a.m, maybe, and then started playing. And then it's like, oh, now I gotta take my dog out to the park, and I'm gonna keep playing Breath of the Wild while I do so, because I can do that with my Nintendo Switch.
He just had such a good time playing Breath of the Wild. He lost track of time and played it all night.
Yes, exactly. As anyone would be playing Breath of the Wild.
Oh, exactly.
What's the next shot? It's escaping me. Was it the airport after this?
Let's look. 'Cause I'm looking through. Obviously, that was when we one of the first times we see the actual like Nintendo Switch like logo clicking into place, and then it goes to the airplane. Which I hope Andre is doing that on his plane right now.
Talking to some girl who also has the Switch, and they're just looking at each other's Switches.
Pretty much. We don't see what they were playing there.
We don't. We see that
once the guy actually gets on the plane, he puts it down with the kickstand, which I love how you couldn't really do that so well with the normal Switch.
Not at all.
I have my normal Switch here, and the angle is just not that good unless you like slouch down and back, which we then see while this guy plays Skyrim. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and those are two big.
Probably isn't comfortable.
Yeah, there are two big reveals right there. One, the Switch is cartridge based, which we all figured out like from leaks and stuff. 2, he's playing Skyrim. First time a Bethesda game's released on a Nintendo console. I don't know if I think there might have been earlier Bethesda games released on consoles. I'm not sure, but the fact of the matter is, we heard from Bethesda before the Switch was revealed that, hey, we'll support the Nintendo NX if it's as powerful as a base Xbox One, which was a half-truth, because the Switch is not as powerful as a base Xbox One, but they're still supporting it anyway. Not anymore, since they've been bought by Xbox, but still, like, Skyrim being on there was a huge deal, because it wasn't on the Wii U. Of course, it wasn't on Wii, but there was on the Switch on a Nintendo platform. That was absolutely huge. And yeah, there's no humanly way he's playing that comfortably on that plane. No way.
No. But it would be a few years, until now with the OLED, and you could comfortably do this.
Yes.
But it's still a fun idea, seeing that you could set it up with the kickstand, you could do this play, and this also showed you could play with the Joy-Con separate. They didn't need to be connected into the grip to be a controller. They worked on their own, and it though this doesn't look like the most comfortable position, it kind of really sold the idea of you could play how you want with it, and that also was just really impressive to see from the get-go.
Very impressive. And let's also talk about the theme song of this trailer. I forget exactly what the song is called, so I need to look that up real quick. But I remember it being the theme, for me at least, of the Switch until we saw more of it in January from the Switch presentation. It was just like, Nintendo Switch trailer song. It was a very spunky beat. Anytime
people were talking about the Switch, they basically used this song. You're right in that this was the theme of the Switch for quite some time.
It's called, of course it's called this. It's called Ha 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 Yeah.
Which is like the only lyrics in the whole song. Not the only, but they're the main ones.
It's called Ha 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 Yeah by White Denim. And that was like the perfect song to use for this trailer. My goodness. Yeah, it was my theme song for a while. But then this guy gets off the plane. He lands playing Switch, playing Skyrim in his car. He goes home to his fancy loft because, apparently everyone in this trailer is like earning a 6-figure salary, right? And then we see the Pro Controller for the first time. And I remember looking at that. Yes, I remember looking at that controller thinking, I need that. I need that so bad. And then I got it, and it hasn't failed me since. I'm still using.
It's a good controller.
I'm still using my day one controller. That's how good that controller is. Like, wow. Like it's almost essential if you're a Switch owner. Like, if you haven't if you somehow haven't bought a Nintendo Switch Pro controller yet, what's wrong with you?
I hope we edit in the actual the Reggie meme there with that.
You heard that, editor? Do it.
I love the first look at the Pro Controller because at first glance it's similar to the Wii U's Pro Controller,
Right.
but when you really like stop and look at it, you actually see how it looks more comfortable and it's different. And yeah, I mean it is a Pro Controller. It is like the go-to controller. It's really, really great. There's literally only one game I can think of, or series of games I can think of that I don't want to use it in, and it's Tetris. Because the D-pad, you can accidentally hit diagonally, and the Joy-Cons are so much better because the buttons are separated. It's the only game series I can think of where you don't want to use a Pro Controller.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the Joy-Con D-pad, people talk a lot of smack about it, but, you know, it's not that bad. I will say that. But I still prefer the Pro Controller. And after that, after this segment, we get the Mario Kart segment, where it's like, this is Mario Kart 8, new characters, and you will be playing this Mario Kart game for the rest of time, because we're never releasing Mario Kart 9.
I love that we got this so early after the Switch release too, but I love how this is the first like game you actually see in this trailer that has the UI, so you can realistically believe they were actually playing it.
Yes.
During this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned, it showed a new character. It showed King Boo, so that gave the immediate reaction of like, oh, it's not just Mario Kart 8. There's changes here. There's new characters. They got two items. Like, whoa, wait a second. It's different.
Yep, and they're also playing with the Joy-Con sideways. That was that big reveal. That each the Joy-Cons can be used as their own individual controllers. So right away, when you get a Switch, you already have two controllers. That's really cool. No other system has really done that ever, packed in two controllers at once, unless you get like a bundle deal. That was just I cannot overestimate how much of a big deal that was. Like, wow. And then they went off to play real go-karts because, you know, that's what you do. I believe after
I guess Mario Kart puts you in the mood for it, I guess.
And I believe after this part of the trailer is when we see Karen for the first time.
No, after that,
after
it's
Mario
NBA.
Kart,
Yep, it's NBA. They're playing actual basketball, then they need a breather, so they're going to play digital basketball.
Well, I remember somebody mentioned this too earlier, like after that trailer came out, like, guys, they're just swapping places with the other group of friends that want to play on the court, and then they're playing what's it called, NBA on there, 2K. And that was also a big deal. 2K hasn't been on a Nintendo system in a long time, so like there it is on the Switch. And I believe 2K games are still being released on the Switch. Correct me if I'm wrong. So
yeah,
this
was also nice too because you got to see two Switches in tabletop mode back to back.
Yes.
Connecting to each other and everyone using a single Joy-Con. Like this kind of really started to show the level of multiplayer that this really had. Rather.
It was wild. Like they were both playing. There was 4 players total, and they were both using, and both parties were using one Switch with 2 controllers. That was really excellent, and the game looks good too. Like it looked like it was running well. I don't think it's 60 FPS, but it runs. I could be wrong, but then I believe it's Karen. Then we see Karen.
Now we get to Karen.
Yes, the infamous Karen that everybody memed to death. Rest in peace, Karen. But
I mean, listen. Unless if we haven't taken our Switches to a rooftop party, I guess we're not real Nintendo fans.
Exactly. This was cool because she was playing a new Mario game that we didn't even know existed.
Yep.
And we didn't know it would be called Super Mario Odyssey until a few months later. Like, wow, they announced a new Mario game that also looks like a traditional 3D Mario game. Because as good as 3D World was on the Wii U, I don't think it was what 3D Mario fans really wanted at the time. In spite of how good it wasn't. Yeah, so
it was really good though.
Yeah, it was, and now it's like a return to form. I'm pretty sure GameXplain zoomed in on that footage a lot back in 2016.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I definitely remember Andre had at least one really big analysis of like the 2 clips that we had of all this.
Oh man, I need to look back and see how long that was. But yeah, and then she takes it to a rooftop party next door. Like she looks out the window and they're like, "Hey, come over here." Like that never happens. You just get a text, "Hey, I'm at a rooftop party. Want to come?" "Yeah, sure. Let me bring my Switch." And just the memes about this. Here comes Karen with her Switch. Oh my gosh, Karen. We don't want Jesus, Karen.
My question is, what did they start playing? So
I think it was still Mario. Like they were playing like the 2-player mode in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, with Cappy. We don't fully get to see it, obviously. Like
never do.
It's facing the Switch is facing away from us, but they're both playing with a single Joy-Con. I think looking at the back of the Joy-Con, I think they have the straps on. The
Yeah.
ones that attach that. Whoops, I have mine for the Zelda one right here, where it actually adds the more comfortable to press buttons on it.
Interesting.
But notably, neither of them are wearing wrist straps.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing. I'm only noticing now looking at this. They have that attachment to the Joy-Con, but
I'm
no
sure
wrist
Nintendo was
straps.
super strict when they were helping film this, because but speaking of super strict, that goes into the final bit, which was esports. We're just like, yep, Nintendo's
Yes.
back in the esports realm. Probably were they ever? I'm not sure. A
Little bit, kind of. It painted a nice idea of, hey, what if they really tried taking it seriously with Splatoon, of all things. I think this was also our first look at Splatoon 2.
It was.
So this was a big deal. Like, wow, Nintendo knows people really like Splatoon, and they wanna bring it to esports. They're gonna give it a big deal. And then I don't think we ever had anything to this degree outside of like Nintendo World Championships,
Right. I don't
kind
think
of
so
thing.
either.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I remember one of the actors in this scene was found by, I think Nintendo Life, maybe? And he was talking about how that controller was just so comfortable to use, and I hope he didn't get sued. Legend says he still can't be found to this day. But that was interesting. See, I don't know if we knew if it was Splatoon 2 or if it was a port of the Wii U first game. I think that was also like the dilemma we were seeing with Mario Kart, was like, was this a port of Mario Kart 8 or is it a new Mario Kart game? Like, what's going on here? And sure enough, that was a port, a deluxe port, I should say. Then the Splatoon was just a straight up sequel. So,
Yep.
and that ended that trailer, and that left many people thirsty for more information. My goodness.
And it took a little while to get it. I mean, until January, but
I'm so glad they announced like right after the trailer that, hey, you'll get more information in January. Calm down.
Yep.
So stop. Oh, and then we would get more information at Jimmy Fallon, of course, when Reggie.
That's
was on.
right. That's right. I forgot about the Jimmy Fallon edition of it all.
Yes, and I was like, uh-oh, now I got to do a video on this. but yeah, that trailer, man. And then they announced it's coming in March, and no price, no specific date, but all we knew was that the Switch was a system that was coming out from Nintendo, and it was a handheld home console hybrid. But they even had an article talking about the power of the Switch, which was very unheard of for Nintendo. They never really talk about their specs that much. But they were very proud of being able to use NVIDIA Tegra X1 mobile processors, graphics processors for this console. And yeah, they really stretched that thing far. And keep in mind, like, the Tegra X1 was not that impressive back then, and they still managed to port Doom Eternal and The Witcher 3 to this system with that mobile
That is
chipset.
true.
Wild.
That is very true. It's impressive, honestly. The Switch has always been impressive, and I'm very happy that, like, looking back 5 years later, the reveal was impressive, and looking back on it now 5 years later, what they showed back then was great, honestly, and it gave really good promise for a strong start to it all. And I mean, 2017 is still one of the strongest years the Switch had. First year was still like the strongest. Not that it's been going down, but what they had that first year was fantastic, and this gave a perfect tease to it all. And I emphasize tease because then what we saw in January proved that this was like just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I agree. Also, no year has topped 2017 yet, like, at all. I don't agree. If you say 2018 was better,
2022 might be equal to 2017 if rumors and what we know of releases line up to literally be almost a repeat of 2017.
I'd love to be wrong, but I doubt it. I think just 2017, man, that was probably the best launch year in video game console history.
It was
Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe,
Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2,
Mario
Arms.
Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
That's right, that was that year. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
Skyrim, which I guess, that was an old game at that time, but it was still a big deal. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Oh my gosh. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot more. But
And we'll definitely go more into that, because though this is the 5th anniversary of the Switch's reveal, obviously we'll be talking on probably the 5th anniversary of the Switch presentation in January.
Yes.
And then, of course, the actual 5th anniversary of the Switch in March.
5 years.
Which, those are going to come up real quick at
5
this
years.
rate.
5 years ago was such a different time. in general. My goodness. So it feels like it went by so fast, but it also feels like it was so far away at the same time. Very strange. Never grow old, kids. All right, but that was our discussion on the 5th anniversary of the Nintendo Switch's reveal. Tell us where you were at the time. Tell us how you felt about this trailer, and tell us what your favorite year of the Nintendo Switch is. If it wasn't 2017, was it 2019? Was it 2020 for some reason? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to check out the videos on the right for more topics that you might be interested in. But until next time, bye.